The Blues Brothers in San Antonio. Tickets on sale now.
Pickle, it's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score some great deals on award-winning Hondas. Visit your local Helpful Honda dealer today or visit ntxhondadealer.com. Yeah, NTX Honda Dealers.
Thank you.
Can't forget the S.com to learn more.
Thank you, Honda. Love you, Honda.
Good cars. Honda,
Love
they
you,
go.
Honda.
Me, mechanic, understand
They
when
go.
we say car, no go. But
They
Hondas
go.
don't have that problem. They do go.
Put it in H. All right. It's Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday. Get your questions in about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, all of the things. We'll answer as many as we can. I got to get out of here at 12:45 because, as you can tell, I need a haircut. So we're going to get that thing done before I have to go on the air tonight on Valley Sports Southwest. First, some Thursday night results. One thing to keep in mind, one thing to note.
The war
One of
on
the
weather was legit in Houston.
Yeah, there was big weather down in Houston. So, for example, Richmond, Foster, and Manville was a game we really had our eye on. It made our top 10 Texas high school ball games of the week yesterday. It has been postponed until tomorrow, Saturday, I think at noon. I will ask live to the executive producer, is it still going to be on Texan Live?
I gotta ask.
Okay, we'll find out.
It
Find
should
out
be.
together.
It should be.
Tune in to TexanLive.com. We'll have other Saturday games as well, but I believe we will see if it's going to be, but it did get postponed. It's going to be at Alvin ISD Memorial Stadium on Saturday at noon. Elsewhere across the state of Texas, we did have a couple of interesting results. I think especially in like greater North Texas was kind of where a lot of it happened. So one of them, Argyle beats Frisco Emerson yesterday in a battle of unbeatens, 24-10. It's first-year program, Frisco Emerson. Argyle stays unbeaten. They're going to still be the number one team in 5A Division II at the end of the week. Like, spoiler alert. I am inclined to think really highly of Frisco Emerson after this result.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a first-year varsity program. I'll be honest. They were 7-0 coming into this game, and I'm like, all right, this is where it ends, and it's going to end badly. I thought they were going to get launched into the sun by Argyle.
Well, and yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, I mean, I will pull back the curtains in the Slack chat. There was a lot of conversation about, like, is this a really bad result for Argyle? And I'm sitting there, and Ish and I were sitting there talking, and it was like, no, I don't think it is. I think Emerson is a legitimate team.
I think this is more about Emerson than it is about Argyle. I think that's a real good result for Emerson. And I'm not in the business of handing out moral victories. Argyle gets the win, and that's the win that matters. They're going to win the district almost certainly now. But that is, I thought, a really encouraging result for Emerson, and that's proof of concept that, like, you know, and by the way, that's Kendall Miller, former Lakeview Centennial coach. He's the THSCA president-elect, and they are cooking. Keep an eye on Emerson. I think the Mavericks are for real. And again, this is not taking anything away from Argyle, but Argyle's kind of a known commodity. Like, we've lavished praise on Argyle. We'll continue to lavish praise on Argyle. Good win for them. But I come away from this one, this game's more about Emerson.
Well, and I was going to say that we talked about it yesterday with the District 11 6A, how we've always had, in the past, it's been Duncanville, DeSoto, Cedar Hill. That's all that it's been. But this year, we've seen those other second-tier teams really start to come about. I think that this district is underrated when you look at the because Argyle is the clear-cut favorite. I don't think that's anything. But, like, Dallas has had an unbelievable year. I saw Frisco Independence play 2 weeks ago, and they looked incredibly good. And then you have Emerson. I think that that's a deeper district than what we're really used to seeing.
I think you're right. I think we thought that it was going to be like Argyle
and then literally the field
and everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think District 3 5A Division 2 is closer than people think. Now, I will
Independence is a good team too.
Yes.
Watch out for them.
I will also say this. This is now twice or 3 times really, that when Argyle has played a good team, it's been close. And really, I'd say 4 times if you want to count Lake Dallas. Now, the rest of their schedule, they play Frisco Independence next week. Frisco Independence is undefeated, but they're kind of in that same vein of Emerson, of like, I need to see them prove it. And who's Independence got tonight? They've got Frisco Memorial, so they're going to beat them, in my opinion. So I don't think – I like Argyle, and I think they deserve to be the number 1 team in the state. But they are not – there are other places where I think number 1 is so far and away the best team in the class. I do not think that's the case with Argyle. I think I think 5A Division 2 is tighter than maybe you would think.
Has Independence played Lake Dallas yet?
No.
No.
Independence schedule's really backloaded. They play Argyle, Lake Dallas, and Emerson in the final 3.
Okay.
So they've
because I was going to say if they could take care of Lake Dallas, then you might be looking at that last game of the season deciding second place in that district.
their big win of the year is over Frisco Heritage,
Mm-hmm.
who they beat in week 2, 42-39. That was their best win. You saw Heritage
Which
last
what a
night.
segue.
Frisco and Heritage at the Star. We would be remiss if we did not mention the extracurriculars that went on in that game.
Yes, there was. It was over like a 3-hour game. A big reason for that was still in the first quarter, I think, first quarter or really early second quarter. Huge brawl broke out. I mean, big. It lasted for a long time. It started on the Heritage sideline. It was just a conglomerate of people, and then it kind of went out to the field. It looked like it was going to break up, and then all of a sudden it was going back again. They finally got it all shut down. But 5 players were ejected, 3 from Heritage's side, one of which being their starting quarterback, and 2 very notable players from Frisco. So the game completely shifted at that point because we had seen a lot of good play, and then it was like, okay, 5 of the best players on the field just got taken out. How is this going to look? But I want to give a big shout out. Frisco ended up pulling it out. The game went down to the wire. Heritage ended up, they were down 3. They ended up getting a stop on 4th and goal. It was 4th and 2 at the goal line. They get it, they take over, and then they just didn't have enough juice in the tank to finish it off. Frisco forced a big 4th and 6, and they ended up winning it out. But let me make sure I get this kid's name right because he was big time. Cameron Franklin from Heritage. He's 6'4", like 185 pounds, and he's playing corner. And so Ish and I see him, and we're like, whoa, okay, this kid, like, he's got some size to him. He's only a junior, so we were like, it's interesting he's not playing offense. What it is he a little slow? Does he maybe not have a good catch radius? What are we looking at here? And once the quarterback got taken out, he ended up stepping in as the backup quarterback in the first play, interception. And we're going, oh, that's why he's not on offense. And then after that, he looked like Lamar Jackson out there. He started feeling himself. He was making unbelievable throws. And, I mean, he was a really good player. So recruiting guys might want to take a look at Cameron Franklin. He's impressive from Heritage.
Frisco moves to 6. Frisco moves to 6-1 on the year, and they will now get next week Frisco Reedy. And what should be, as long as Reedy takes care of business against Sherman tonight, which I think they will, that'll be probably for the district title right there in Frisco and Frisco Reedy next week, so that'll be a lot of fun. Elsewhere, 5A Division II as well. Abilene Wiley takes down Wichita Falls Rider in a thriller. I think they were down like 17 in this game and rallied back. Our own Corey Hogue was there covering for the Wichita Falls Times record and was giving us great play-by-play. They end up scoring with about a minute left, decide to go for 2 to take the lead. They get it, and they get an interception late to win it. Big win for Abilene Wiley. I think they're in the driver's seat for that district now.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the year, we were like, this is Riders to lose.
Absolutely. And so now they knock out number 8 Rider in that game.
Riders been down into some close ones this year, man.
Like, been a weird year.
If you want to point out like a team where you look at the schedule and go, that's weird. Yeah. That's them.
And then last night there was some college action. Baylor played West Virginia, and did you know this? I didn't know this until I think Craven mentioned it yesterday. That Baylor has never beaten West Virginia in Morgantown, at least not since they've joined the league.
It's an underrated. That is a little bit shocking, but it is an underrated place to play. Like, I mean, what else is there really to do in Morgantown? Like, they show up for the games.
Yeah, it was a Thursday night affair, and the curse of Morgantown continues for Baylor as West Virginia wins 43-40. We can talk about Blake Shapen getting hurt because that was obviously a big deal. They have to turn to Kyron Drones. I didn't think Kyron Drones was the problem. I think that he took some time to settle in, but Blake Shapen went out with what I think they were describing as like a head neck injury. So I think they're saying like concussion protocol, stuff like that. He went out. Squirrel Williams went out. Craig Williams went out, which was unfortunate as well because he was really important for their offense as well. But let's not overlook the fact that this was not about the problem for Baylor in this game was not about the offense. Their offense I thought was fine. They put up 40 points, right? And they put up 590 yards total offense. No problem. Blake Shapen before he went out was super sharp. The offense wasn't the issue. The issue was the defense got torched. Defense gave up 500 yards total offense to West Virginia. That's only the third time.
That's a lot.
That's only the third time in the Dave Aranda era that they've given up 500 yards total offense. that the offense looked bad in this game. And look, by the way, so Baylor's 3-3 now. Okay, Baylor's 3-3. So they need 3 more wins to get to a bowl. And I know that seems crazy to be like, is Baylor going to make a bowl? But here's their schedule, okay?
Take a look at the schedule.
Kansas, not the layup it used to be, certainly. At Tech. Now, I think Baylor's probably better than Tech, but at the same time, depending on how long Blake Shapen's out, and that's on the road in Lubbock.
And it's Joey McGuire's first game back against him. To be fair, Craven was telling us, so he's going to that game, and he booked a hotel room. He said, like, the minimum hotel rate he could find was, like, $350 a night. And I'm talking, like, low-level hotel at that point. That's how much people are excited for that one.
At Oklahoma. Now, again, OU is not what they used to be. That is a bad Oklahoma team, but it's on the road.
Overlook them because they're not good and you get burned.
Kansas State, who's 17th in the nation right now. TCU, who right now looks like they're going to, looks like they're going to win
this Saturday.
See what they do, but they're at least co-favorite to win the Big 12. And they finish at Texas. Baylor's got to win 3 of those 6 to make a bowl. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying that, like, last night, by letting that one slip,
it's not an easy walk.
you're going to have to earn it now. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, there's some look at last night's action. Do we have any questions in Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday?
We sure do. Let's start off with thoughts on Alith Taylor and
Stratford?
No, Jesuit.
Oh, Houston Strake Jesuit.
Yes. The Taylor win likely pushes Shadow Creek to the Division II bracket.
Yes, it does. This is so last night, it was last night, and Taylor beats Strake 24-17 in a really critical matchup. And that, to me, was probably I need to look through the results, but probably straight up for 4th place in that district.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still like Shadow Creek. Dawson and Pearland are going to play tonight in the Battle of Pearland. I'm sure they have a fun name for that. But Taylor, I think, takes command of that 3rd spot. That is going to bump almost certainly, as long as things hold to form, that's going to bump Shadow Creek to the Division II bracket. Very interesting there. I think this Taylor team is interesting, specifically because I think that they play defense. They got kind of lit up by Klein Forest in the opener, but since then their defense has been, and they got lit up by Fort Bend Marshall. That tends to happen. But in district, their defense has kind of taken the next step. Tough schedule the rest of the way, Pearland and Shadow Creek before they finish against Elsick. But I like this Taylor team. For Strake, now they're kind of chasing, right? Mm-hmm. Strake is going to have to, they're going to need a slip up somewhere along the lines to get there. Their schedule, and by the way, or they're going to need to steal one against Pearland and Shadow Creek. The other one for me is like that loss to Dawson's a killer. They've now lost to basically the two of the teams that I thought they were chasing for like a 3rd or 4th playoff spot in Dawson and Taylor. They don't have those head-to-heads. So interesting. They're in District 23 6A, but that's a big result there for Taylor. I think they got to feel really good about making the playoffs now. What's next, Mademoiselle Pickle?
How do you think that the district, the Mount Vernon Winsboro district, I got to look up which one that is. How do you think that's going to pan out 1 through 4?
Let's see. So we're talking about District 5-3A Division 1.
Yeah, Winsboro's in the driver's seat right now.
5-3A Division 1. Yeah, Winsboro's got to feel great about it. Now, big game tonight. Well, here's the thing. They feel good right now.
Yes.
Got to go take care of business against Pottsboro tonight. Now, they're favored.
By 1.
But they're on the road, and this is a close game, I think, between these two. If you're Mount Vernon, you got your pom-poms out for Pottsboro.
Yes.
Because if Mount Vernon, I believe, still plays Pottsboro down the road, they close with Pottsboro. So you can force a 3-way tie, and maybe you win a tiebreaker and win that district. Mm-hmm. Right now, I think Winsboro beats Pottsboro, at which point they would
basically have the outright.
Again, like they could lose anybody, you know what I mean? This high school football, things can happen.
The next 2 teams that they're playing
if you're Winsboro, it's Mineola and Bonham, and like they're going to be favored in both those games. Yeah. But like, crazier things have happened.
Yeah, that's a collective 4-9 on the other teams.
Mineola could be the best team in the state for one night and beat them. But if Winsboro wins tonight, they got to feel good about first place. That makes that Pottsboro-Winsboro game, that Pottsboro-Mount Vernon game, in my opinion, straight up for second place. Mm-hmm. Second place, third place.
Commerce.
Fourth place is a bit of a jumble, but I do like Commerce. Have Commerce and Mineola played yet? Because I'm not giving up on Mineola. No, they play at the end. Now, Because Mineola, I want to say their schedule was pretty front-loaded. Yeah, they've already lost.
They're playing bottom tonight.
Yeah.
So they have to win this one.
They've already lost to Mount Vernon and Pottsboro, but they were never going to beat them, in my opinion. For fourth place, if things kind of break right, then I think you could look at that last game, Commerce and Mineola, straight up for fourth place.
But Mineola has to win tonight.
Mineola's got to take care of business against Bonham, right? And then they got to take care of business in week 10 against Emory Reigns to set up a potential playoff spot, kind of clinching game, straight up like a playoff game functionally between Commerce and Mineola. I don't know. Commerce is off to the hot start, but I'm not throwing dirt on Mineola yet. I think that if they can just figure something out defensively, then I think they'll be okay. Anyway, what's next, Pickle?
Let's go with with a shortage of officials across the state, what can the UIL and TASO do to help out with keeping officials and getting new recruits?
Right.
I think it's people helping out TASO.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good question because, and this is something we've run across a fair number of times, is that if you didn't know, there is an official shordage in Texas high school football, in Texas sports, I should say, in Texas high school athletics.
Yeah, it is definitely not just football.
Basketball.
People want to do football. Is it when you start getting to girls basketball, that's hard.
Baseball, volleyball, stuff like that. There's a few different things. One, obviously you can incentivize it, like you can up their pay rate and stuff like that. I know the UIL recently, I want to say in the offseason, they passed a rule that like allowed for a bigger travel stipend and things like that, and that just kind of helps out and incentivizes players, because you don't want these officials to be like paying for it out of their own pocket to go officiate games. They're as I've said before, you're not going to get rich, but it's nice kind of runaround money to be an official, right? That's part of it. Another part of it is that I think the UIL can make sure that everybody understands that there's a zero tolerance policy for like abusing officials. Now there is, but I think that the UIL should and does, I think, emphasize that to coaches. Say, listen, I understand it's frustrating out there. We all want to win. This is competitive, but the only way that we're going to keep players or keep officials out there is by treating them with respect and telling our players that we have to treat them with respect. There are going to be bad calls, but we can't yell out there, yell at them, yell at them, make them feel terrible, right? Make them feel like they want to quit. I think another thing, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think it's all up to us to make sure we're treating officials with respect and making it so that their job is as easy as possible, because they are doing a service for the sport. And then, look, the UIL, I think, and TASO do a pretty good job recruiting. We, in the media, need to do a better job of amplifying the message and amplifying the fact that there is a shortage. And if you want to go to taso.org and sign up and train and stuff like that, like, it's a way to stay involved in high school football. If you're passionate about it, if you want to be a part of a Friday night, you can go do it. We know people who have done it, who've gone and gotten involved, and it's a good way to do it. So there are ways to do it. Obviously, money talks, so that's part of it. But there's bigger things and more like things surrounding the money that I think we can all do to make it a little bit better.
Well, and I think like the people that make up the UIL, as in like coaches and stuff, I know how much it means to those refs or the officials to be able to have an extra set of food sitting next, like by them. Like they order. There's a lot of teams that will order an extra Chicken Express box and give it to the officials. Like that means a lot. Or make sure they at least have water and Gatorade. You know, they're not just showing up to an empty locker room and it's like, where is water? Oh, well, you can go get it out of the little squirt gun thing.
Exactly right. So things like that, we want to make the job that officials do as easy as possible, knowing full well that there are going to be some downsides to this job. Not to get on a soapbox here, I draw a lot of parallels between officials and teachers. I think that teachers have been abused over the course of the last 20 years or so, and I think it's only getting worse. So the best thing we can do is make the jobs easier for teachers. We can make the jobs easier for officials. That's just me. I'm off my soapbox. What's next, Pickle?
Will the moment be too big for Dripping Springs tonight? If you're not aware, they are playing the number 2 team in Austin Westlake.
That's an interesting way to phrase it.
Well, it was my father that phrased it that way.
Will the moment be too big for Dripping Springs? It is the biggest game in their 6A history. That's for sure. It is. I mean, look, they get an opportunity to welcome in the number 2 team in the state at home. This is a veteran ball club. They have played tough teams. They've played Vandegrift. They've played Bowie. They played Bowie on the road. Now, they have now. Westlake's a different animal, right? I think a lot of, and I think they're well coached. I think Galen Zimmerman's going to have them prepared. And furthermore, they've got a senior quarterback, an experienced senior quarterback, and that's where your leadership comes from. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for them. Now, do I think they're going to win? Also, no. I don't think they're going to win the game. But I do think that they will be prepared, and I think they're going to go out there and throw their best shot at it. What's interesting to me is that for Drip, these next 2 games are obviously important because you want to win them. You want to win a district championship. But as far as their playoff path is concerned, they play Westlake and Lake Travis back-to-back. Functionally irrelevant. Like, functionally irrelevant because they're going to be, by beating, depending on who gets that 4th seed, right now I think it's probably going to be Bowie. Like, they've already beaten Bowie. And so I think that they're going to be the number 1 seed in D2. I think there's just not a lot to gain from that. But obviously they don't listen to me, and they're not going out there and be like, oh guys, don't worry, it doesn't mean anything. They want to go out there and get this win because a win in this, like, let's put it this way, right now they're the number 6 team in the state, I want to say. Like, they're easily top 10 if they win this game. Do you know what I mean? And they could end a 46 game winning streak, stuff like that. A lot to gain from them. And they can prove that they belong in 6A, and they're on that short list of contenders. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for them. If it was on the road, this might be a different conversation, but especially at home, I think they're going to come out fired up.
Well, and I think too, when you talk about a moment being too big, I think that the coaches can tell them 8 bajillion times, like, hey, we go out there, we play our own ball and stuff, but I really genuinely think it comes down to, like, where the players are at in their own headspace, because you can look at this, like, you have one of 2 ways to look at this in my mind. One of it is you are so sick of growing up hearing that Westlake and Lake Travis are the 2 only good things that come out of Austin. Those are the only places where there's players. So you can be so ready to prove that wrong and finally shut that up after hearing it for 17, 18 years. Or you're looking at it in a way of, oh my God, we're actually here. We're actually playing Westlake, and you take it for, you've heard about it for 17 years and you let that affect you. I think that when the moment's too big, those are the 2 ways that will decide that.
I compare it a lot. We've talked about it with Alito. We've talked about it with Allen. We've talked about it with Katie. We've talked about it with, these big-time programs. There are a lot of teams that they walk off the bus and they see the jersey and it says whatever across the front, and they're down 14-0. That is the thing for Drip that they have to avoid. So I think a lot of this, we'll know a lot through the first 2 drives. First 2 drives for each side, right? First quarter, back and forth. If Westlake gets it, scores, and then like pick 6 or something like that, yeah, we're going to know a lot. Because it's going to be really... Westlake is not in the business of letting you come back on them.
No.
Westlake is also, let me throw this out there.
They're super slow starts this year.
Started slow against Lake Travis. Started slow against Ridgepoint. Started slow against Anderson.
Which for Drip, it's just you cannot take your foot off the gas. And honestly, if I'm the OC heading into this game, I'm running a couple plays, and then I am putting all my eggs in one basket and letting Novosad just absolutely try one bomb down the field in the very first sequence of first downs, and just seeing what you can get there. I mean, heck, even do it on the first play. Just load up and, just send everybody on a fly route.
I think the script is going to be very interesting from Dripping Springs. How they
cannot be conservative.
How they start this game, because I think Westlake has shown they are vulnerable early. Can they take advantage? We'll find out. Fascinating game. What's next?
Is East Bernard as down as their 0-6 record?
Okay, let me start with that. They are better than 0-6.
They have played Edna, a good team. Hitchcock, a good team. Ganado, a good team. Shiner, a good team.
Tidehaven, a good team. Like,
I don't know about last week, but
Brazos 6-1.
Yeah.
Like, this is
the East Bernard that you're used to seeing beats that team.
Right. Oh no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let me see if I can add this up real quick.
To a certain degree, 0-6 is 0-6.
No, and at some point, you're right, Pickle. You are what your record says you are. But at the same time, when you're playing teams that are a combined 33-6 on the year, like, let's give them a little bit of leeway
They're
here.
down. They're not broken.
Now here's a big problem with it, okay? And so East Bernard runs a slot T. And to be fair, I've not seen tape on East Bernard this year. I want to be very clear. But the slot T that they run down there, when it's working, it's working. And when it's not, it's not. And I wonder if they are just missing an operator back there, because the offense has really fallen off a cliff. Like, the offense is only averaging 13 points a game, okay? And we're talking about a team that, last year was averaging, I've got this somewhere. I did this. I'm pulling up a spreadsheet real quick. That's what I'm doing. You're talking about East Bernard. Through 6 weeks, they were down. They averaged 32 points a game last year. They're averaging 13 now, right? That they have had a drop of 19 points a game. They're in the bottom 10% as far as offensive delta week to year to year. They have been they've taken a huge step back. I want you to think about this, okay? Think about the concern we've had for South Oak Cliff offensively, right? Now they're starting to round into form. They're starting to figure things out. But they've obviously taken a step back offensively. East Bernard is down more points per game than South Oak Cliff. They're down more points per game than LBJ. They're down more points per game than Brock, than Ennis, right? This is a team that the offense has really fallen off, and I think that in the slot T, you are so reliant on having an operator back there that maybe they just don't have it right now.
I also, and maybe this is not thinking right, but as well as they operate at their slot T, the East Bernard that I got used to seeing was a very good, stout defense. And I think that that's where you start looking into, because that was a team that they played hard, smash mouth football. And I think that the defense not being as good is where you can say they're not broken, but they're definitely down from what we're used to seeing.
Oh, they're down. They're down. We are saying it's a systemic thing, because when you run the slot T, part of the advantage of the slot T is that it keeps your defense fresh. And if you're only putting up 13 points a game, that means you're having a lot of 3-and-outs. And if you're having a lot of 3-and-outs, that means your defense is on the field a lot.
Yeah.
And so
it's what came first, the chicken or the egg.
The big talking point in football this year is complementary football. Everyone wants to use the phrase complementary football. The slot T is a perfect example of that. If that slot T sucks, and you've trained you built the entire program around the idea of our offense is going to eat up clock, and then our defense is just going to have to make 6 stops a game. Then suddenly, if you're asking them to make 12 stops a game, then if they give you the same 6 stops, that means they're giving up 6 scores. So they are better than 0-6. I do wonder if there are some big issues, and I think they start on the offensive side. And by the way, they are probably not going to make the playoffs.
No.
That game against Van Vleck is going to be huge. That game against Van Vleck may, in fact, be for that's pretty much straight. Week 10 against Van Vleck is probably going to be straight up for a playoff spot, because they play Danbury tonight. They better beat Danbury. If they don't beat Danbury, then it's sound the alarm. But anyway, that's some thoughts on East Bernard. What's next?
This is an East Bernard podcast
we're at a Bramus podcast. I love Wade Bossy. I love that team. When they're cooking, they're really fun. And you see the difference. Sorry to keep going on that East Bernard, but if you remember, longtime fans of Texas high school maybe remember when they were really cooking. They had Ty Slanina at the quarterback spot, and he was such an athlete back there and such an operator of that offense. They need something like that, and I wonder if that's missing right now.
We had them on Texan Live, and I loved watching them last year. They're just a fun team to watch.
They are.
And it hasn't been that. And there's a whole, especially in that part of the world, they're one of the only really good small school ball. So
it's a combination, though. It's a combination, because part of it is that they play tough schedule, but I also do think something's broken offensively.
Yes.
What's next?
When you go get barbecue, do you go with regular sausage, or do you get the jalapeno cheddar, or something even more exotic?
I want the specialty. I want whatever that place has that's different. Now, so like when we went to Heim,
I was fixing to bring this
they
up.
had jalapeno sausage, jalapeno cheddar, and then they had another one.
They had my pepper jack sausage.
Pepper jack sausage.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what I want. Like I trust that every barbecue place worth their salt can make good sausage, straight up sausage. And that's good. I love that. I want the specialty. I want the exotic. If you've got some sort of wild ass sausage that I've never seen, I want to try it.
Yeah, see, I am huge jalapeno cheddar fan. Huge. I love jalapenos. I think almost everyone on this, like, I will just eat a whole bowl of jalapenos. So I love jalapeno cheddar. But the one place that I will not get the jalapeno cheddar sausage is Heim. If you go to Heim Barbecue and you have not tried their pepper jack sausage, I'm telling you, it is, 13 out of 10. It's so good. Because you got it. I convinced you to get it last time.
Because I was going to get the jalapeno cheddar.
Yeah.
Because it's really good. And then you're like, yeah, try the pepper jack.
And he looked up and he goes, this was the right move. I was like,
you were
yep.
correct.
All right. Do you think the winner of Atlanta and Jefferson tonight ultimately will decide District 6 3A Division 1? It
Probably.
looks like it.
I mean, like you know, the standings right now would tell you that.
Yeah. They've got to play.
Yeah, I'll just say this: like Tatum lurks.
I was going to say, I know Jefferson still has to play Tatum in week 10.
They both have to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They both have to. Tatum's gonna have something to say about that
It could be another three-way.
Because like Tatum,
tie.
week 10 and week 11, they play Jefferson, they play Atlanta. I'm not ready to. Okay, the winner of this game obviously feels really good about their spot, but I'm not ready to bury the loser simply because Tatum's gonna have something to say about it, and Tatum may beat both of them.
Right.
Or like Tatum may win one, lose one, and we can get to a three-way tiebreak situation. I think that is a pretty tightly packed district at the top between Tatum, Jefferson, and Atlanta. Tatum's got the 3-3 record, but their losses are to center in quadruple overtime. I've talked about this Tatum before. Tatum, I thought there was a chance they started like 0-6 because center they lose in quadruple overtime. They lose to Dangerfield by 13 on the road. And then I thought like Pittsburgh was a tough game. Then they played West Rusk and they beat them, by the way. And then they played Lumberton, which is a 4A team, and they lose to them by a score. But then they open up district play with a win over Gladewater. Now Gladewater was a team that has a rougher end. They're another team that's weird. They're better than their record indicates. They're better than 1-5. But that's a good win for them. I think Tatum's in that mix too. So I would say Jefferson, Atlanta, Tatum are in some order 1, 2, 3. And you could talk me into Tatum being the best team in the district still. The winner of tonight, Jefferson, Atlanta, is obviously still, it feels good about it. I think I lean towards, might lean towards Atlanta, but I've been burned so much by Atlanta before.
I was waiting for that comment. I was like, let's see
like
if he does it.
The past 5 years, I've been like, this is the year for Atlanta. And then like last year, they went like 0-10. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm going to go with Jefferson tonight. I'm going to go with Jefferson.
Please, Atlanta, come back and win
Over
this
Atlanta.
so you can burn
Then
him
I think
just
Tatum
again.
might be in both. I think
Yeah.
Tatum might be in both. Anyway, there's that. What's next? Let's do 2 more.
What is the best team with a losing record right now? Do we still have to say Brock? Are we?
Got to win tonight. Got to beat Whitesboro tonight.
Yep.
And Whitesboro's no picnic. Best team with a losing record right now. It's a good question.
Does Lindale technically have a winning record?
I don't know.
Has they 4-3, so they technically have a winning record.
They have a winning record, so they have a winning record. I could be talking because South Oak Cliff doesn't have a winning record anymore. I mean, Brock is the easy choice, but like Brock is an easy choice. I think that a lot of 3-3 teams that I like. Like we were just talking about Tatum. Like I think Tatum is a pretty good team. Another team with a losing record. Jeez, that's a good question. Like Lake Travis is 3-3, but like, 3-3 for them is like a disaster. I don't know. Like Summer Creek's 3-3, but that's a team that I really like. So I would say right now the answer is Brock. Munster is another team. They're 2-4.
Yeah.
But are you ready to hop off the Munster train?
Yeah, I'm pretty sorry.
done?
I'm ready to hop off the Munster train.
You're
I
done.
don't
You're
think
done with
that.
Munster.
Yeah. I think that is like a Munster Winthrop rematch is just no, like it's just not gonna happen.
Any team that I'm forgetting that's got a losing record. Okay, Brock's the easy choice. Munster is honorable mention, and third place is Ennis.
Yeah, I think that
Ennis played a really tough schedule. Their losses are to Waxahachie, Midlothian, Colleyville Heritage, and Everman. Like, for example, it wouldn't surprise me if they beat Midlothian Heritage tonight.
Mm-hmm. I think
especially
there
that
are
offense, or especially they gotta figure things out defensively.
I think that it's not necessarily a losing record. I think there are more teams that we are used to seeing go undefeated that we have not seen go undefeated this year. That's been more of the shock rather than like, oh, this team is 0-4 and they're really good.
Like, for example, like South Oak Cliff is are they 3-3?
I think so. Yeah.
They
I
are.
think they're
4-3 now, so they've got a
4-3,
winning
okay.
record. But like, and they're going to finish. By the way, this is a spoiler alert, but they're going to finish 7-3,
3, yep.
and stuff like that.
Or who was the team that their only loss was to Gilmer and Carthage? Gosh darn it, we talked about them last week. I can't remember, but like that's a team that we don't expect to have 2 losses. Who was it?
I'm looking it up. Hold on, you're right. God bless. Come on.
And then you take a look at that and you go, oh, well, it's because they lost to them.
Who was the team that their loss there to Gilmer and Carthage? It's Kilgore.
Kilgore, yes.
Kilgore. Like they
beat Lindale last night, so it's a good thing. But yeah, you're going, why do they already have 2
Right.
losses on the season? And they came really early on, so they were like 1-2-1 or 1-2, and it was like what?
Like right now, let me make some headlines. Like right now, if you put a sports gun to my head, the 5A Division II title game is Fort Bend Marshall and South Oak Cliff.
Yeah, I think Fort Bend. We talked a lot about Fort Bend Marshall needing to prove it last week against what was that, Texas City,
They
and
proved it. And then they won last night. Although last night they played Nederland. That was another Thursday night affair, and they beat Nederland, who's 1-5. But again, they're better than 1-5. But they only beat them 24-0. And I'm like, huh. Now I don't know. There was weather, so maybe that game started. I had to dig in and figure that out. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that game got postponed or something like that. Let's see. They played deep in the night after a long rain delay. Yeah, okay.
Regardless, that's going to cut that amount of weather is going to cut down on your
rain delay. I'm willing to give them a little bit of a pass.
Yeah.
On weird weather, big delay, and stuff like that.
The main goal there was to hold on to the football.
The other thing is that, like, right side of the bracket, it's like Liberty Hill, I think, is a little bit flawed. Like 5A Division II, man, I'm telling you, like that right side of the bracket, it's
down.
wide open, and you could talk me into a lot of different teams in 5A Division II. But I'd say right now I'd go South Oak Cliff and Fort Bend Marshall would be my pick for a title game.
I mean, I can't argue that. I am interested. I don't think that South Oak Cliff will be tested anymore this year. All due respect, but so I'm still like. They went from being incredibly tested, like one of the most difficultly tested, to not having really anybody that's going to give them a competitive game. Like, I honestly feel like we're not going to know what we're looking at with Sauk until we get to the playoffs.
So, like, for example, right now, so here's an interesting thing. So we've got our playoff projections. Steps Guy's first playoff projections up at TexasFootball.com for subscribers. This would be the path for South Oak Cliff, okay, hypothetically. Ennis, first round. Melissa, Midlothian Heritage.
Yeah.
And then like Texas High, Lovejoy, or Summit.
It's not
or E-Block.
E-Block. Oh my gosh, dude.
They'll earn it. Like that's
Sauk
the thing.
versus
is that, like,
Everman would be amazing.
The thing about
Step
South
would
Oak
lose
Cliff,
it.
though, is that like they're obviously tested in the early going. Duncanville, DeSoto, Lancaster.
Yeah.
They've been tested. Now they get, like, all due respect to Dallas ISD and those programs, they get like 7 weeks where they're just a lot better than everybody else.
And it's
then
really
they
not
gotta
even close.
Pick it up.
Yep.
And there is no margin. They got to be ready out of the gates. Be interesting to see. All right, one more.
Your ender, and this goes back to the pre-show topic. What is your favorite rom-com?
You go first.
So I don't know if I would consider it's technically a rom-com, but I would say it's almost more of a comedy than anything. But I love Bridesmaids. I think that is just peak cinema, and I am not here to hear anything else. I love that. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That's a good one.
I would say The Terminator.
Don't act like you don't watch rom-coms. I know your wife is definitely into rom-coms.
Oh, she was like we were talking about how Matthew Lillard, she recognized him from like She's All That, like Freddie Prinze Jr. and stuff like that. Freddie Prinze Jr. has been married to Sarah Michelle Gellar for like 12 years. Do you know that?
No.
They're still married. And you know what he's doing? Do you know Freddie Prinze Jr. is doing this, He's podcasting about wrestling.
There we go.
Yeah, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days has one of my all-time like crushes on it. Larissa Oleynik.
Okay.
She's in that. She's the younger sister in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Wedding Planner. That's a good one. That's with J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey. I like that one.
Yeah. I don't watch a ton of them, and like the other thing is like I'm the wrong guy to ask because like they all blend together to me.
That's
it's
fair.
like they all star the same 7 people, and they all have the same 6 hot guys in them, and like, yeah. So
if you wanted to go old school, if you consider this a rom-com, I love 16 Candles. There aren't many girly things about me, but I love me a good rom-com. I really genuinely do.
Oh, all right. This is a true rom-com. Have you ever seen When Harry Met Sally?
Yes.
When Harry Met Sally is really good.
A good one.
That's Billy Crystal's best work.
So The Ringer, I was scrolling through, The Ringer put out, like, what was the name of the article? It said,
like the 50 best romantic comedies.
Yeah, 50 best romantic comedies, or best rom-coms.
Shout out Brian Curtis.
That was number 1. When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. I think that's a fair choice.
That's fair.
That's a fair pull. Anything else? You got anything else? You
no.
done?
That's fine. We're going to end it on rom-coms.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.